Greetings from NAB 2023 and happy anniversary, 100th anniversary to National Association of Broadcasters. I'm Mark Pescatore with Systems Contractor News. Joining me is Cynthia Wisehart from Sound and Video Contractor. Hi, Cynthia.
Hi, yeah, we're colleagues at Future Media, and it's nice to be here with you today.
Absolutely, we're having it's a good show, isn't it?
It's a good show. You know, we come here on the Pro AV beat, so we're kind of skulking around in the corners looking for stuff that applies to our market. So it's kind of nice to see all those beautiful LEDs, right? That's
the big story right now.
Yeah.
For those of you who aren't at NAB this year, everybody and their mother apparently has a virtual reality screen in their booth.
Yeah, and some of it's not that applicable to us. For example, the RGBW innovations are great for the cinematographers because they handle that lighting situation. But we're also seeing innovations that apply to our market as well. I saw some really interesting coatings. I've seen some, processing that allows you to use more LEDs and more LED screens in an installation, so you're not as limited with the big screens. So I think there's a knock-on innovation effect that's hitting our market because of the demand for these volumes. So, you know, I saw some beautiful screens. You know, there's one I want to single out actually that was new to me. That came from Alpha Light. I saw that on the 4A booth, and that was not a screen I've seen before. So that was an excellent viewing angle, kind of an interesting aesthetic to the surface. So I would definitely tell people to go take a look at that. And then of course our usual stalwarts, Planar had some gorgeous screens on their booth, LG, Row, you know, always beautiful. And then the other thing I noticed is people are really contextualizing their LED displays here. They're showing the use cases. Obviously here it's virtual production, but it just helps remind you that they don't exist in a vacuum. They're part of an application.
And you know, someone who did it a different way was Panasonic.
Really?
Because they didn't have an LED wall, they had virtual production, but they used 3 projectors instead. So if you can't afford the big expensive wall, you can still have a virtual production set. You just do it in a slightly different way.
I didn't see that one. That is really interesting. I'll probably go take a look at that in the 5 minutes we have left here before we close today.
Well, I'll tell you the other thing about these video walls, and it's a component that most people forget to talk about, and that's the creativity. The people who actually have to create the content for these walls. This is I would say an emerging market, but it's already here. It's an important part of the whole process, isn't it?
It's funny you bring that up because we were over on Blackmagic and we're noticing, you know, you always think of NAB as kind of this, well, certain generation, and it was 20-somethings all over the booth there. And it was really interesting to see these younger people who are making maybe different kind of content than we might expect. But they were talking about seeing those big screens, and there was a little bit of, I don't know, FOMO or whatever. You do YouTube, you do, you know, the small format stuff, and then you come in here and you see those big walls. So I think we may see the younger content creators finding ways to gravitate towards these really big canvases that are available.
Well, what else, besides the big old walls, what else have you seen
So,
here?
you know, you have to mention Dante AV because, you know, that is made, you know, some progress here at this show.
Are we contractually obligated to say Dante AV?
I think so. At least that's what I'm told.
Oh, well, if you do not genuflect, no, I mean, the fact is they're huge.
Yeah, it's big, and you know, of course, we've got Bolin, who always took point on that and came up with that very first camera. They're here with both a software version on the AVH and then a hardware version based on the Dante Ultra and a hybrid, so that you can have both in the same camera, so that's a big innovation. And then over at AJA, you could see the transceiver receiver that they've come up with. And you know, you gotta say, when a name like AJA, I mean, due respect to everybody who's pioneered for the Dante AV, when you see a really known, kind of established name, not that Bolin's not established, but they were more behind the scenes. When you see a really forward brand, you know, throwing their weight behind Dante AV, that makes you wonder, what are we going to see at Infocom from Dante AV? More?
Well, absolutely. Well, I mean, and Dante's also moving not away from the physical, because they certainly still have their chips and whatnot, but software solutions from Dante as well.
And you know that had to happen because partly pandemic, partly response to supply chain issues. That was a real innovation, but what they told me was that that was always in the roadmap. But you know, typically circumstances on the ground, they may accelerate a situation. So they've really pushed forward with that. They've got Dante Connect for the cloud, you know, which by the way, I guess you're having someone here to talk about the cloud a little bit more later, but that's another omnipresent subject that's just everywhere. Obviously for broadcasters, so I don't know, what do you think for our people? Is cloud gonna have meaning in AV?
I think it has to.
Yeah.
I think a lot of production is trying to move to the cloud. Some of it is already there.
Yeah.
We're not tier one. Tier one production is not in the cloud yet.
Right.
Companies like Matrox are saying, some people are saying it's going to take 10 years, and Matrox is saying we might be able to just trim that down
Just
a bit.
a little. Did you go to that Origin press conference?
Yeah, I did.
Because I dropped it. Yeah, so I really wanted to see that. It was sparsely attended, which tells me that this is still an emerging, you know, they're just starting down that road. But as you point out, they may shorten the distance.
It's going to be interesting. So, someone who else is shortening the distance for productivity or getting something out there is IPMX.
Yes, I noticed that they are planning to actually have something formed by Infocom, that they're really going to have a rollout plan. Now that's what they're saying. Obviously, we've all been around standards bodies long enough to know that you can't always predict how that rollout is going to happen, but you know, talking to Andrew Starks at Magnica, and he's really keen to think this is going to be the year where there's some things that really come due.
Well, they had a dirty hands test last month.
That's right.
He would not give me the details of the dirty hands test. Thanks,
Yeah,
Andy.
yeah.
But they had the dirty hands test. They said it went well. Now they have the documents out there for review.
Yep.
And according to him and Sam from Matrox, they're saying that IPMX could be an honest-to-goodness standard established maybe by ISC next year, maybe earlier.
Yeah, so we'll know more at Infocom. They'll have a little bit more of a schedule to tell us where that's going. And you know, right alongside that, I gotta say, the NDI ecosystem is getting pretty ubiquitous too, and even the people at IPMX, it's not an either or. You know, there's plenty of support for both, but there's definitely situations where it's going to be one or the other, and there's going to be problems solved through IPMX that are going to be in a different way than NDI is solving the problems. So a lot of innovation in the ecosystem, both from a standards standpoint and a proprietary standpoint.
Absolutely. We're going to see some outstanding things happening. And one thing we need to do, though,
Yes.
is talk about you and your awards. There's some outstanding things happening right here on the NAB Show floor, and
so,
you're
yeah, a little
showing them off.
self-indulgence right here.
Yeah.
I'm going to say that we do a little best of show awards here, Pro AV at NAB. It's really our colleague Tom Butts' event, because hundreds of products enter from the TV space for this awards. But we do a little, you know, niche Pro AV group, and I was able to hand out some really well-deserved awards today. Our judges went around for 2 days to all the booths, and they had a lot of positive feedback for some of the products that entered. So we'll be making that announcement. You know, you'll see it on the site.
You want to tease a couple? Let people on?
So we saw ISC, the G-Link. That's one kind of a favorite of mine, because you know, I was a theme park designer, as I've told, and racks are so important. And this little device really helps cut down on the amount of wire it takes to do your rack. And anytime something like that comes along, that's a real innovation. And then, you know, Planar TVX series, that was one of the well-received winners. We saw an Adder Multiview KVM take an award. That's kind of an emerging thing for AV, so we'll see where that goes. And I'm doing this from memory, so if I had a list,
you're doing
I
fine.
could probably, obviously the AJA Dante AV course, that was gonna,
Well, and
you know.
I don't mind telling people, we're at the Epiphan video booth
yeah.
right here, and well, you got something to say about that?
Yeah, so thanks for the cue, Mark, that was very cute. They are getting 2, actually, awards for the Pearl family, and then for a name I can't pronounce. So
Fantastic.
this is where I don't have my list in front of me.
That's all right. Epiphan has been a friend to us, definitely letting us do videos like this. And They make great products. What can we say?
Yeah, that's what I'm told.
So thank you all for watching us. Sorry you weren't here at NAB with us, but we've had a heck of a show.
Yep.
And now, next stop, Infocom.
Yeah, we'll see you there.
Thank you.
Bye.